What's up, YouTubers? This is your boy Big Metroid Fan 12 coming to you with another video game review. This time I'm reviewing the game Metroid Prime Pinball for the Nintendo DS by Nintendo Infused Games. And pretty much what Nintendo did is take Metroid Prime for the Nintendo GameCube and pretty much put it in a pinball game and with the rules of having 3 chances to complete the game with the pinballs and all that. And if you fail to do so in those 3 chances, you get the game over. And one thing that you will pretty much notice about um, Metroid Prime Pinball is the fact that the Morph Ball is used as a pinball, and it has a life bar, pretty much like the other games in the Metroid franchise and all that. Now, there are pretty much a total of 6 tables in the single player, which are the Pirate Frigate, the Talon Overworld, Fajrana Drifts, Phasar Mines, the Artifact Temple, and the Impact Crater. Now, the first 2 tables available when you start the single player are the Pirate Frigate and the Talon Overworld, and you pretty much unlock the other tables pretty much by beating the boss in each of these tables. I think the only exception is Talon Overworld because Talon Overworld in Metroid Prime for the GameCube didn't have a boss in it anyway, as far as accessing until like later in the game, that particular game, when you face off against Meta Ridley and all that. But you can pretty much go through, once you're done with Talon Overworld and the Pirate Frigate, you go to Vagina Drifts, Phason Mines, the Artifact Temple, and the Impact Crater in that particular order, pretty much like the original Metroid Prime game and all that. Now, the last table is the Crater Impact, where you face the Impact Crater, rather, where you face Metroid Prime in the same manner as the original, where you face it twice. You know what I'm saying? Plus, once you beat Metroid Prime Pinball, you unlock Expert mode, which is more difficult, which is pretty standard in the Metroid Prime games and all that. Now, the bosses in Metroid Prime Pinball are Thardas, Omega Pirate, Meta Ridley, and the 2 times that you face Metroid Prime. Now, the only boss you're not going to face in Metroid Prime Pinball is on Flagler, and that's mainly because the Chosen Ruins are not in Metroid Prime Pinball as a table. I don't know why they included it. A few possibilities is that the has to do with like either time constraint, it wasn't in the budget to put it in there, or the limitations of the Nintendo DS. So I'm not 100% sure which reason they couldn't do it and all that. But now there is a multiplayer in Metroid Prime Pinball, which would be the third game in the franchise that really has a multiplayer. Now, the in this one, you can have up to 8 players in the multiplayer, where you use the Magmar Tavern as a table, which is not a table in the single player mode. Now, I don't know how many people you can use in multiplayer in Metroid Prime Hunt, but it seems that Metroid Prime Pinball has the most people you can have play in the multiplayer and all that. Now, in the single player mode, there are many games in there, and when you succeed in these mini games, you get one of the artifacts. And another, now some of the mini games are like Metroid Mania, Wall Jump, and Hurry. You know what I'm saying? All of the rules to each mini games is pretty much different and everything and all that. Now another way to get the the artifacts is pretty much is by beating one of the bosses. I would say the pretty much the only exception is Metroid Prime itself because it you probably going so you probably have to grab three of the artifacts by beating Thirtus, Metroid Prime, and Ridley. You know, and the other five are retrieved from the mini games and all that. Now, plus with the mini games in the single player, they're pretty much, from what I can gather, the mini games are timed. But if you hit a certain spot in the upper screen, you can pretty much extend the time by 5 seconds. That would mean if you hit it like at least like 6 times, you increase the time limit to by 30 seconds. You know what I'm saying? Which will be a good help and all that. Now, when you look at the graphics and gameplay of Metroid Prime Pinball, they are pretty good. You know what I'm saying? It's like, to me, all the tables are pretty faithful in in the designs of the tables. They're pretty faithful to the original Metroid Prime game, and it does look pretty good and all that. You know, so and as far as the gameplay goes, it's pretty excellent itself. You know what I'm saying? That I have really no problem with the gameplay because it is pretty fluid and it works like any other pinball game and all that. Now, and I do like the soundtrack to Metroid Prime, pinball. You know what I'm saying? But to be honest, when you look at all of the majority of the Metroid games in the franchise, the soundtrack have always been excellent. You know what I'm saying? Like for example, Super Metroid, Metroid Fusion, Zero Mission, even the Metroid Prime trilogy, even the last Metroid Prime that came out, which is Metroid Samus Returns, which is of course a remake of Metroid Prime 2 for the Game Boy. Anyway, so far as like a score, I definitely give Metroid Prime Pinball a 9 out of 10. You know what I'm saying? Nah, I would really recommend Metroid Prime Pinball to anybody that's a fan of the Metroid series and the fact that they like the pinball game genre and all that. So um if you happen, would I recommend it to anybody else? Depends on if they played the previous Metroid games and all that. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody not a fan of Metroid or the pinball genre as a whole. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, if you like Metroid Prime pinball and all that, if you have any, you can mention that if you like it. If you have any gripes with Metroid Prime pinball, you can mention that also. Don't forget to subscribe and don't forget to click the thumbs up button. This is your boy Big Metroid Fan 12 signing off.